Jane Dabb.
Hi, I'm Jane Dabb. I'm president of Piedmont Craftsmen, which is a national crafts guild here in Winston-Salem. And I'm a fiber artist myself and co-own fiber company here in Winston.
Jennifer Finkel.
Hi, Lisa. Welcome. My name is Jennifer Finkel. I'm the curator of Wake Forest Art Collection. In my previous life, I used to do a lot of commissions with artists in public art. And I've only been on the committee for a few months, but really enjoying it.
And Jason Thiel.
Hey, Jason Thiel, and I'm the president of our Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership.
And Lisa Strutt.
Everybody, a lot of you I'm familiar with your names already. I am a artist and I have a space down in the Arts District. I'm glad to be on board here.
Welcome. So we have a short meeting, I think, today. Really just some project reports and then the elections of chair and vice chair. I'll pop it back over to you, David.
Okay. Well, the first order of business that you, as chair, you always have to do. This is a very easy job. I want to tell you that right off the bat, just in case any of you are wondering, can I possibly fit this into my busy life? Yes, you can. I'm here to tell you because, yeah, I've managed to chair a department and do this at the same time. Wow. Really, there's no comparison. But the first thing to do is to, at any meeting, is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. A little bit of formality is usually a formality unless somebody spots something there that was maybe inaccurate from the last meeting minutes.
Yes, I do.
Motion. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
And Jane seconded, Kelly. And then let's have, what do we usually have? We usually have a raised hand, physical, actual hand, sort of like this.
Yeah, all your cameras are on.
The minutes.
I like that.
Ed, Kelly, keep them up for a while.
All right.
Okay. So, project reports, Kelly.
Okay, I'm gonna go through it here really quick. The Benton Convention Center was just completed. I'm going to share a quick video I took yesterday of the tunnel. And my apologies if it's a little choppy, but we'll give it a whirl.
Entry. We were going in a mouse hole. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, he did good.
I think it looks great.
What a happy change.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to go through that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I saw it a couple weeks ago when it was in progress and it was looking really good. It looks
Yeah.
great.
That's a destination.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Had he ever done anything like this before, Kelly, in a tunnel?
I don't think so. Yeah, he was telling me how weird it was because it was, you know, in a tunnel in the convention center, and it was often in the convention center when the convention center was closed, and at night because they were having some events, so he couldn't really be there when they were having events, and so it was really after hours and a lot of times in the middle of the night, and the LED lights are in the rails. and it's all just curved white drywall or plaster. And I think it's just really hard to see and orient yourself when you're on a ladder and you just have this curved white surface with a crazy LED light. So he did a great job. So he has some other work around town, including the what do you call that? The farmers market for the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds farmers market mural, which he did for us as well.
That may be his Sistine ceiling.
Yes.
Really, it's unusual. And painting on curves, you know. Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So, and then all the other artwork is in. Yeah, I think I showed you that in the previous
Kelly,
meeting.
can I ask a question? When I was down there a couple of weeks ago, I saw, because I hadn't seen it installed yet, the wood round pieces. Is it Washburn and I forget the other artist?
Aaron Gibbons.
So there were several people trying to pull the pulleys to try, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that it's not like kinetic or, you know, and I took a picture of the signage, but I don't remember, like, I don't think there's anything that says, you know, do not touch, because it talks about, the signage actually talks about activating it with the pulleys. So this person was like, oh, you're supposed to activate it by pulling the pulleys. So just something to consider. We might want to add another piece of signage. But it looked, the installation looks great, and it's sort of funny how it like plays off the carpet, but it looks good.
Yeah, I'm getting signage made for the tunnel, so I'll just add that.
Okay.
That's good spot, Jennifer.
I was gonna say, Jennifer, does it need like real instructive type signage, like only touch here, or you know, something to that extent?
I mean, I would say don't touch at all.
Get your mitts off.
I think because the last line says, with a single pulley rope moving between ellipses, this pathway functions only when all pieces are involved. So to me, that's, which I can understand, this person thought it was like, oh, I can activate it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Try to keep it from getting broken. Next, we have artistic bus shelters. Our committee is meeting next Monday to narrow those down. We have 20 submissions and gonna pick between 8 and 10 or 8 and 12, I think. There's a pricing difference between the different shelter types, so it just kind of depends on how many we pick and where they are for the pricing. So we'll have those to bring to you in January. And then the Salem Parkway Bridge Arts, the RFP, doing a couple more edits, and should be bringing that to the purchasing department soon. And then let's see, the downtown sculpture, we're under contract and materials are being purchased soon. So we're on track with that one. The Clemens Library, we discussed this the last meeting, so we should have that in January. We should put together our first meeting on that one. And then we have kind of the undesignated county project, and Dara, Betsy, and Owens are gonna meet sometime in the near future to talk about that and if there's any overlap with the COVID Memorial Project or not. So we'll probably hear from them at the next meeting.
Kelly, I had a question. So the Clemens Library project, that's not the 10,000? Is that?
No, that has a $60,000 budget.
Okay. So the other county project, there's 10,000. It has to go to a library or doesn't have to go to a library?
I think it has to go to a library. In early 2020, and we were told no, it wasn't appropriated. And then I got a weird communication from the deputy county manager saying, hey, good news, the ARPA money you requested was approved. And then he called and said, actually, it wasn't, but we have this money that they asked for previously that is now approved. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Kelly, that brings up the question of just so that everybody knows, not to the single dollar, but what is the approximate balance in our funding right now? What do we have?
Sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's
Because I realize a lot of it's going to be encumbered by promises to projects, but
I think it's over 100, and I think it's in the 120 range.
okay.
Maybe a little less, but I think it's in the low 100s.
Okay, and just to recap, just for maybe a couple more specifics for the downtown sculpture, how was that finally resolved, and some of the compromises that we had to make?
We didn't really make any compromises. I think it just took. So we had. You might remember that we took that project and kind of broke it into a design piece and then a fabrication piece. And the artist who did the design wanted to do the fabrication, where she would kind of act as the project manager and work with several subcontractors to put the piece together. But she had a lot of worry just on the contract, because as that central project coordinator, she'd be taking on a lot of financial responsibility. So she kind of needed to work out the timing and the pricing of everything to kind of just make sure that she wasn't going to end up going over budget on this project and then be left in the negative after paying her subcontractors. And then so she needed to do a couple things to get them under contract, and she had trouble pricing the materials, because I guess the materials pricing has been so unsteady because of COVID, and she was worried she would go under contract and materials prices would take a jump, and then she'd be stuck. So she made the leap and put in an invoice for those materials, and hopefully that'll be sufficient to purchase everything.
Okay, thank you. Well, any further questions? I mean, what's the projected date for that? I know that building is going up pretty fast downtown. That's a spring project.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're pushed back at all or not, but
okay.
Maybe it could be spring. It's a pretty simple sculpture when it comes down to it.
And a lot of it will be fabricated off-site and then brought to the.
Yeah, I think they can just kind of bring it in with a crane and drop it into its spot.
Some Sunday morning.
Yeah. So we could still be on track for March, but we'll see.
David and Kelly, confirm that's the project on 4th Street, right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
4th and Spruce.
Okay, well, if there aren't any other further questions, we can proceed to our election. And I guess it's the process, I didn't read, I haven't read over our rules, so I don't really know what they are, but fortunately, my lawyer is present here. That's Elizabeth. So
I haven't read it either. That's a bad sign.
Well,
I
the
think we want to
chair and vice chair were only allowed to serve for 3 consecutive terms, and they need to be elected in December with the following term starting in January. So
Like a 1-year term?
a 2-year term.
So I've done this for 6 years. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's 5.5 because we kind of started mid-year, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Okay. I would suggest that we start. I mean, I don't know exactly how you want to proceed with this. I realize that not everybody. There may be people that would like to do this. There may be people that won't. That their plates are too full already. And we have 2 positions, and I guess people that have been, you all have been here long enough, except for Lisa, that that this is just not such a big deal. I mean, it's really a largely, I would say, ceremonial, and I haven't really had to do very many ceremonial things either for a while. So I think that I'd like to hear. I'd like to see if we could start out with the doing the chair and then do the vice chair. And Kelly, if you want to moderate this and organize this discussion and this, you can. But I would just call for nominations for being chair, and feel free to nominate yourself as well. There's no shame in doing that if you are interested in it. It's just because I'm not sure everybody, we're all buddies on this. It's not a big deal, right? If it's something that you want, or I'll also say, if you simply do not want, this isn't something that you would really feel you wouldn't be able to accept very easily, that's another thing to mention. So there you have, that's my introduction to this. I'd like to hear, I kind of like to hear from everybody about this,
I'll talk since I'm on mute, unmute. I am about to go off of this committee, but I would think that Jennifer and/or Cliff would be great people for getting on this, on either of those slots. So I'm happy to nominate both of them. That's my parting shot, that's pretty good.
Well, thanks. I'd like to nominate Betsy. It's just like throwing the hot potato, but yeah, that's one person. I think she would do a good job of it, unless I'm missing something. I can, if she can or not, but that's my vote.
Right.
And Jennifer, and Jennifer too. I'll throw that in as well.
I'm going to pipe up and say, I second Cliff's nominations.
Betsy, how much longer are you going to be on the committee?
2 more years.
2 more years.
2 more years. And I chatted a little bit with Kelly about this, and I agree that Jennifer, Cliff, y'all would do a great job. It'd be great, to work with y'all. I have some big things coming off my plate, so I didn't raise my hand to say I ain't gonna do it. Certainly, I've loved working with y'all and would be very happy to continue to serve under Cliff or Jennifer or anybody else who wants to jump in. And I'm not gonna say I ain't gonna do it.
So we have at least 3 nominations right now. I would nominate Dara.
I was going to second that nomination for Betsy for chair. I was looking at the list and she's our, I think along with David, and Jane. They've been on this the longest. Wasn't saying old, Betsy.
Yeah, I would, this is Jennifer, I would agree. I mean, Betsy, I think you bring, you've been on the committee a long time and you just you bring a knowledge to this. I appreciate being nominated, but I still totally feel like a newbie to this and I'm still learning a lot. So, yeah, I think either Betsy or Dara would be great.
Betsy, how do you feel about so you're rotating off of things like at work and you've been very involved in other projects and leading other projects, which has been incredibly valuable for our community. And I guess I don't think this being chair or vice chair of this committee would impact that very much. It's really, I'll say that just if you would allow me just a minute of reflection, because it has been 5.5 years. So I think the thing that has been the most interesting and valuable is that when Kelly has a question about something, he's been able to call me and say, and I try to respond really quickly to you, right, Kelly? Try when I can, because there's something that comes up like, what is it going to look like what do you think of changing this aspect of a project or something like that? So I think that's, be a sounding board for Kelly is one of the things that is sort of, aside from running these meetings, which is really nothing, is very easy. But that's a thing that's been really interesting and part of the job. And I would think that would continue. I don't have very many connections. I don't consider myself to be a very well-connected person in the community necessarily. I mean, most of my connections are still with Wake Forest, and that doesn't really serve any purpose on this committee. So just so everybody knows that, I think the community connections are very, very valuable to have. And I know that, so I just put that out there as to sort of the things that are helpful, most helpful.
Kelly, do you mind if I share a little bit from the conversation we had when I ran into you on my bike the other day?
Yeah, that's fine.
Just, the question I had was, like, early on, it seems like the commission was a good bit more work for the chair because there was the public art plan. There was kind of figuring out what this thing is and how it runs. We're now much more in a place that we're rolling along and that we're taking in projects, occasionally designing our own projects, occasionally, fielding projects from the community. And the question that I asked Kelly was, is there a need to have a chair who is more proactive and who is generating more, like, more attention for the commission or is working to achieve additional funding, that is doing work to make the Public Art Commission bigger and more impactful than it is. And that was something that I'm not comfortable taking on, because I do have a good bit on my plate. If we were going to work to grow or to, significantly shift our goals. And Kelly noted that in his own workload, you can speak for yourself, Kelly, but that basically the way that the Public Art Commission is going now is kind of the timeline, the amount of time that Kelly has allocated. So a big push to grow would also be a tough position for Kelly to be in as the staff member. Have I captured that correctly?
Mhm.
And so, it's just something I put into the air too, because in the past we have talked about, well, should we do a big push for a percent for art of some kind? Should we do a big push to attach to other organizations in various ways, or to be, to do some of the amazing work that Dara has done at the Arts Council to create connections between different entities in the arts in the city. So I bring that up as a conversation topic that, or maybe just as something that seemed important to me to note as we were considering who the chair would be and how much time that person would dedicate.
Kelly, do you want to say anything about or recap a little bit about the percent for art and where we are with that?
That's on my calendar to go to city council or council committee in March, I believe. So that'll be something to kind of work on and research and give them options for early 2022. And I'm not sure where the votes are with that. I'm not sure if there's a lot of support or if they're going to come back and say, that's nice, but we'll just keep doing what we're doing. But it's definitely something for them that they will be considering this coming year. But it's not really work for the Public Art Commission. That's kind of like, as the staff person, it's going to be something that I'll be researching and showing them different options. And some of those options are laid out in the public art plan. Like, this is what other communities do. They'll have, 1% of capital expenditures flat just goes into a public art fund. Some will say, well, we'll do 1% of projects in parks and libraries or something like that. So there's lots of different options. I'm sure a flow chart will pop out of this at some point. But that'll be kind of a discussion and back and forth with the city council sometime soon.
I would really like to be able to have some input on that as a commission, if we're going to be presenting it on behalf of the art.
Sure, we can discuss it, but it's not something that gets approved by the Public Art Commission. It's something that, it's the city with the city's purse strings is going to be doing. But we can do updates on the research and recommendations if you want.
Yeah, but it's the policy that then it's going to come down through us to implement.
It will, as far as funding goes. And if there's too much, if it create, part of that conversation will be, is this something that we can handle? So there's going to be a lot of different options. That's what I mean about the flow chart. It's going to just create a lot of conversation at this point.
Do you have an idea of the process?
The process for
It being approved?
it would go to would be a presentation to the city council committee, community development, housing, general government probably, and maybe finance. Could be public works too. Anyway, it'll go to one or two committees probably. And then it'll be usually bounces back and forth, you know, first presentation, and then questions, and then we come back and answer those questions, and then they might make a motion to approve it, and then it goes on to the full city council. And then that they might have some back and forth, the full city council.
Then county?
The county would be a different process. It's a different ask, and I'm not sure when that's on their calendar. It's not at the same time. Jason?
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay. Well, given that we've got a nomination and a second for Betsy, and we're in discussion, I think she raises a good point about the responsibilities. And, you know, my sense is that this is a volunteer position, and that we would look at the model that David has put forth. And if we wanted to do additional things, that responsibility would fall on the board as it's an entirety, and maybe a subcommittee. And given the performance that I've seen from Betsy and her involvement, I think she'd make a great chairperson, pardon me. And I think that if it's okay with you, David, and I'm not certain about the parliamentary rules of order, but
Elizabeth,
I don't want to do the call the question thing, because I think that forces a vote, but I'd like to do what I can to ask for a vote for the chair position and nominating Betsy.
Everyone's frozen. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, I would certainly support Betsy. And regarding whether or not you can call the question, David, I think you certainly can.
Okay. Well, here's where I fall short as a chair. I really do not know these rules. Okay. Full disclosure, I really do not know. I'm lost here. Okay. So that's why.
Just say all those in favor of voting for Betsy Towns for chairman, please say aye.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Was that correct,
That
Kelly?
is correct. All those in favor of voting for Betsy Towns for chair, raise your hand and or say aye.
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 Yeah. Who seconded that? There were so many around.
Oh, I'll second.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Are you gonna, Lisa, do you have, you abstaining? You have,
I will abstain.
as the
I've been on the
Getting,
committee for 5 minutes, I think.
getting to know everybody. Okay.
Okay. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jason. That was probably a good move. Now, let's do the same thing for somebody for vice chair. Anybody have anything to add to our discussion so far? What you want to, something to add? We've got, do we have nomination? So now we're making some nominations for vice chair, okay? Nominations for vice chair are open.
I always have to think about the system a little bit. So just in terms of complementary connections and experiences are the reasons. So if there was someone here from UNCSA, I would say, well, maybe that's not the right person. We have folks from Wake Forest. We have folks from the Arts Council, from Downtown Commission, from Piedmont Crafts. Like, are there things that we should make sure that we are checking off in terms of covering some broad spectra, different kinds of artists and thinkers? It seems like each of you are ready to leap in at this, other than David and Elizabeth.
Well, Betsy, you're an artist and a practitioner and also a historian and an academic. And so naturally it might be somebody who was not so many of those things, it would seem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well, the two people that rise to my sense, and just the two people are really, for instance, I like Dara because she's connected with the Arts Council as an employee. And I think that the thing that we talked about, many of the different things like action at council, is that while she may wear a hat as a member of this committee, her staff and other folks who work with her will be advocating for measures that are in addition to what the agenda is here. So I think there's an advocacy connection there that to me is important, but I want to be sensitive to other people's wishes and dreams. But for me, it's just a connective thing. I believe that's my logic for nominating Dara.
I'd be happy to do it. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, me too.
Normally, David, this is where you would, if you have a second, we would have discussion. And then if there's no discussion, you'd have a vote.
okay, thank you. Is there any discussion?
Do I get to second, Dara?
Cliff already did.
I think it's already been done.
Second,
Sorry.
you could third, but second is enough. No, now is the time we have some discussion and, yeah.
I think Dara is a wonderful choice, and I would like to move the question forward.
Okay, the question's been called. We can have a vote. All in favor of having Dara be vice chair, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The new regime starts in 2022.
Okay,
Congrats.
wonderful. Just in advance, thank you, Betsy, and thank you, Dara, for being willing to do this. I've often I've been on a number of city commissions, and it's always very frustrating when we can't communicate with each other outside of these official meetings, which is kind of a drag. But one by one, we sort of can, or one in threes. So I would avail yourselves of that opportunity as we go forward. I would just say a lot of communication is really a good thing to do, to be able to do. And it's one of the good things about the meetings, the subcommittee meetings that we have. So, but if you have, and when you have important information, like I just saw that Los Angeles has an open call for doing a COVID memorial, but they're actually calling for planning for it rather than artists themselves just to do one thing. So I sent that to Kelly, and I don't know if Kelly sent that around to any people, but I thought that was pretty interesting what LA is doing for that. I know we've sort of had that idea tossing it around, but anyway, that's my parting wish, is to have as much or more communication between ourselves in the future. It's really important. And I thank you all for all your work and all your care and feeling for public art. it's been really great to be chair with you. Thanks.
Thanks, David. And thanks, Elizabeth, who's rolling off too. David will be here, just not chair. And then Elizabeth will be rolling off.
Mm.
I think Jason has the rules of order figured out, so that's good.
Oh,
Jason's official role will be to keep the meeting moving.
what's funny is I'm not really considered like a parliamentarian. I'm kind of a rambler myself.
It's bad news.
Oh, well, it's a good thing that we don't have a lot of ceremony to stand on, obviously. It's a good group, and you know, it'll be interesting to see.
Good group.
It'll be interesting to see, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But David, you'll be staying on the committee for a while?
For a year, I think.
All
Isn't that
right.
right, Kelly? I have one more year.
2. Sorry to say.
Okay.
And do we have one county seat open still?
Nope. We're gonna have one city seat open
That's Elizabeth, right?
for yes, the official grant writing, very important
Yeah,
role that Elizabeth played.
Mhm. I wrote one grant and it got rejected, so I don't know that was my forte. I don't know.
Welcome to the art world.
No, it has been a really fun time to be with you guys, and thank you very much for allowing me to be on this group.
We will still hear your voice on the radio.
Okay.
Again, a big plug
Good.
for WFDD.
Is that still on? I
Sometime
mean,
maybe you
it's-
could just plug the Public Art Commission too.
I think I heard that just last week, actually.
I think I recorded that before I became a member of this commission,
Oh,
so
wow.
you'll know that that's
Oh.
kind of an old thing. But anyway, hopefully it's been successful.
Well, thank you very much for all the, you have offered something that I think is really necessary on the committee, and that is we need to have somebody who has a degree of, I wouldn't, it's not objectivity, but it's a skeptical bone in their body to say, hey, wait a minute, like what could this, what's happening with this or so. That's really important. It really is. And a lot of us, I mean, some of us don't have that, that isn't a natural thing to do. And I think it's been really, really valuable at crucial points, Elizabeth. It really has been valuable. We really need that.
Happy to help.
I mean, that's not the only thing. I don't want to focus on that. But it's been really great.
Yeah, I would second that. I think that that Elizabeth, you bring a particular kind of questioning, even more than inquisitiveness, a willingness to ask some of the hard questions and to do so in ways that are warm and generous, which I think many of us on the committee do. But I think one of the challenges here is that we're faced with often directly with artists who might be asking for something or whom we might or might not be about to hire. And it feels really important to both be warm and supportive and bringing people out, but also to be asking some challenging questions in order to help the artwork become the best match for the city that it can be, or the county.
No one has ever called me warm and welcoming before.
But
So.
they called you funny because you have a good sense of humor, and that also helps.
Okay.
That's what that leavens it, I think. Yeah.
Well, and the context tends to be, it's not, it doesn't ever need to be combative, really. So, yeah. There's a whole long line of public commentators, right,
That's right.
today.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, yes, there are.
Well, if we don't have any further business, is it appropriate for us to adjourn?
Yes.
And so it's nice to be able to say goodbye to you, Elizabeth, and the rest of us shall continue. And who knows, you may find yourself on this group again at some point too. Be great. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Everybody, we will, I guess this is my last move as chair, and Betsy will see you as chair in January.
January 4th, everybody.
January 4th. Okay.
Wow.
Thank you all. And
All right.
have a great holiday season. Have a wonderful holiday season. Stay safe. And we'll see everybody back here in January.
Stay
All
safe,
right, bye-bye.
everybody.
Thanks,
Happy holidays.
David. Thanks.
Bye-bye, all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Elizabeth.